I was convinced this baby was going to be born on the 5th of May. Well, not maybe on the 5th of May, but at least late, very late, at least 1 week. I thought he was as comfortable as you could be in a womb, and he was loving all of the carbs that I was feeding him. So I was not prepared on the 25th of April at 4:30 in the morning for my waters to break. Not really. I had my hospital bag somewhat packed. I had the essentials, but that's how things go. And that's how things went. I was 39 weeks pregnant and 3 days. I woke up in the middle of the night and felt like I needed to stretch out. As soon as I did, I knew straight away that it was my water because it was very different. As soon as my waters broke, I called the hospital triage to say, my water just broke. I do not have any contractions yet whatsoever. What's the plan? What's usually what happens now? And they said usually the contractions will start within a couple of hours. We would like for you to come in just to double check if your water has broken or not. We'll do that in the morning because nothing will really start unless things will really start really quickly now. Then you can of course come in sooner. How much of this can I say without crying? I don't know. Calling the boys at 4:30 in the morning was the most exciting phone call I've ever made. They decided to come down almost straight away because I wasn't panicked whatsoever. I knew what was going to be happening, and I knew that I was going to need my strength later on. So I was very calm. When I called Vicky, Vicky's my best friend, and she came back from Vietnam on Monday morning from traveling. I was really, really happy that the baby at least waited for Vicky to come back, and for the four of us to together get this baby into this world. I must say the timings and the times and how long everything took, I'm not very good with that whatsoever because I was kind of in my own little bubble. I kept in mind all of my practices from hypnobirthing, which have been extremely helpful and making this into a very positive, empowering experience for me. Looking back on it, the whole experience has been extremely positive and a very happy time in my life. When we went to the hospital the first time, they did confirm that my waters had broken. We made an appointment for 10 a.m. on the 26th of April to start the induction if nothing had started yet. We spent the day being really relaxed. The boys arranged a hotel room so they could go chill out or sleep whenever they could. So I went to bed a lot just to snooze, not really sleep, relax. So at 7 o'clock things started to really kick up, and I started having contractions every 2 minutes, even though they were about half a minute and not very intense. I started to have a feel about what it really was. We went to the hospital when they were still about half a minute to a minute, but every 2 minutes they were there. We went there to the hospital and they told us that I was, I think, 2 centimeters dilated. So they said, just go back home and keep going the way you're doing, and that's gonna progress. And as soon as things change, you'll realize and you'll be ready to come back in and then go to the birthing pool. Very quickly, there was this sort of little ritual or things that I really needed during a contraction. You kind of find that you get into your own bubble and there's no real time. It's just you and the contractions. And for me, it was very important that I breathe through it and that I could relax. What I had whenever I had a contraction was my breathing techniques and really trying to breathe through it, breathe really deeply, to hold somebody's hand and to have somebody read the breathing technique script. And that was one script that was read many, many times with every single contraction during my labor. Hats off to Ben, Mark, and Vicky for doing that every single time. And it was really funny because right at the end of labor, they said, oh, how much easier it would have been if we was just recorded that and started playing it every single time a contraction started. After a couple of hours of having that script read to me, I knew exactly when the most difficult part of my contraction would be, and at what point when they started reading that the contraction would die down. And the script was brilliant, hypnobirthing script. It was exactly as long as a contraction could be, like the longest contractions. Sometimes they were a little bit shorter, but in general, they were about as long as exactly as that script. After being at home for a while, in the bed and in the bath, because they draw me a bath, and that was really, really lovely. That helped me a lot. We decided to call up again. Everything was getting quite intense at that point. Longer contractions, they were very regular. Some women really want to walk around, or some women want to be really active during labor. It was not me whatsoever. All I wanted to do is sit in a bath and have that warm water around me at all times. So I was so happy that I could give birth in the birthing pool. That was perfect for me, and I was very happy that I would be able to stay in the birthing pool all the way to the end. By the time we went to the hospital for the third time, got into the room, sorry about the car noise, I had a beautiful view. It was very calm, serene, and the midwife that we saw there was one of the few midwives that I actually remember. But Alana was the midwife that stayed from that point up until the baby was born. She was amazing. She was calm, she was no nonsense, she was exactly what I needed, and I had trust in her immediately. She monitored the baby every 15 minutes right after a contraction, and that's the only real interference that she had. So by the time we got into the birthing pool, I was 6 centimeters dilated. The contractions were really regular. That moment of getting into the birthing pool, it was heaven. By that time, Vicky basically forced the gas and air on me and said, yes, we are going to have some gas and air. I thought, well, we'll see. If I like it and I want to use it, then I will. If I feel like I'm getting too high and I'm not really present and that I can't focus on my breathing anymore, which was the most important thing for me, then I'll just stop using it. But it really helped me a lot. From that point on, I had 3 things that I really needed. I needed to have my gas and air in hand, I needed to hold somebody's hand, and somebody needed to read the script to me. And that got me through all of the contractions. I knew exactly at which point the peak of the contraction would be for me, where it would be the most difficult for me to actually breathe, to the lower point of me being able to start relaxing a little bit more. And I was positive. I never really had a big massive panic. I had 2 moments, I think, where it got a bit much for me. One was when I was still in bed at home and I was trying to breathe through the contractions there, and it was just getting a little intense. So we moved to the bath, which helped a lot straight away. And the second time was when, after 8 centimeters dilated, we kind of hit a plateau, and she said that my waters had not broken completely. Well, they did, but his head kind of just worked as a stop. So not all of my waters had gone yet, and she thought, if things are not progressing with the contractions, then I'm going to break your waters, and that's going to completely, and then that's going to probably help with everything quickening up again. So 8 centimeters, she got me out of the bath. I was not very happy about that because gravity is a bitch. I was also quite scared about slipping and falling, even though everybody was helping me and holding on to me. So she broke my waters, and it was absolutely right what she said. As soon as I got back into the water, these contractions were major league. These were the big ones that I just had issues with breathing through. That was the moment where I told Vicky, who was there, I got quite clingy with Vicky. Poor Vicky. I had to hold my hand for a very long time while I squeezed it really hard. I told her that I was scared. That was the only moment where I felt like everything was just a little bit too much. Up until that point, I knew exactly what my body was doing, and that with every contraction got closer to seeing the baby. and that my body needed to do that to prepare for that. So I kind of had faith in my own body and knowing that it was necessary what I was going through. But that point when there were contraction upon contraction upon contraction, quite a few times that you don't have any time to breathe in between, that was a little bit more difficult and made me get to my breaking point and passing that point of going, I'm scared now because this is my own body, but I can't control it and I don't know how long this is going to last. But apparently that was only a shorter period of time, I think. I don't really know, could be a couple hours. And that was right before the contractions started for me to start pushing. And apparently that's really normal, that's the transition phase. So throughout the whole labor, the hypnobirthing was extremely helpful for me, especially the script that was read to me. The guys and Vicky apparently had some kind of shift rota going on, that they all took turns in holding my hand and reading the script to me. I wasn't really aware of that. I know that I held everybody's hand, but it was really touching to see that they were so supportive. Everybody was fully awake from Monday the 25th at 4:30 up until the point, of course, when baby was born, which was on Tuesday at 5:45 p.m. And that's a very long time. Although they did have some naps, I think, in between. In general, everybody was very much awake and trying to support me, which was amazing. And I really felt the love in the room, and it was an effort that we all had together. It was proper teamwork, just like throughout the pregnancy, which was exactly what I wanted. I wanted to have a birth that was relaxed as possible. The last bit of labor lasted very shortly because I think half of it because of my determination. I was fully aware that I was in the birthing pool, so if his head would come out and that would be it for a while, he would be okay because the water was the exact same temperature as my body, so he wouldn't start to try to breathe. But as soon as I started getting those contractions and started pushing, I was determined that he was going to come out really quickly. I did not want him to have his head out for a while because that would really scare me. After having the intense contractions from the transition phase, getting the contractions to start pushing was just night and day. It was the most powerful feeling, feeling your body helping this baby come out and actually feeling things changing. Up until that point, contractions were just your whole body tensing up in a certain way and you don't really feel the baby moving. I felt the baby moving in between contractions. It was sort of like he was wiggling his way around a little bit. That point of getting the contractions to push was so powerful, and I just took a deep breath in every time.